What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Warm Up with Wad Prep. Now, let me just introduce you to everybody. We have the wonderful Savannah, CJ, and of course, our lovely CEO, Ben. How's everybody doing today?
Very good. Ben is scared for his life, but I think all of us are doing pretty well.
Yeah, I'm pretty. So, little context here. This is the first time I've come to Wad Prep headquarters since August, and it is now late October. So, there was hunting season. There was a lot of travel. I got a lot of videos done that I needed to before the hunting season. So, this is my first time down here in a while because I don't live particularly close to Wad Prep HQ anymore. And I get in here, and there's a lot of things that need vacuuming. So I started vacuuming and wound up vacuuming 3 live Black Widow spiders. And it's kind of terrifying because they're just in like the corners, and I got my dogs here and I'm worried. So I'm living in fear right now. But luckily I think I got all the ones around me, hopefully. But if you see me like scream, then you know what happened.
I think as long as you sit on your chair with your feet also on the chair, then you'll be safe.
I did check the chair. So I thought originally, I've been doing a little Google research. I thought that Black Widows were basically just like a bad bee sting. Apparently it's a little worse than that. It's very rare for people to die from a Black Widow's bite. I would have to have like a weakened immune system, although I am a little under the weather, so who knows. But I guess like you can like, in some cases you like have seizures, you feel like hypothermic, you're sick for like 12 hours, like you like have to seek medical attention. I just thought you're like, man, I got bit, no big deal. It is a much bigger deal than I originally assumed, and for dogs they're not good at all. So I'm gonna have to do a full vacuum sweep, sucking up all the Black Widows as soon as this call is over, because apparently that's the spider of choice here in Colorado. They're just everywhere. So fun.
So while Ben's doing vacuuming for time and got 6 months to live, we can jump and dive into the Rogue Invitational today.
Yeah.
That is what we're talking about, being 2 days out. Everybody excited?
Always.
Very.
Excited?
So stoked. Oh my gosh.
So one of my favorite things about the Rogue Invitational is it isn't just CrossFit. We do get to also watch some of the strong men and strong women, because they're just absolutely phenomenal. Ben, you've been to the Rogue Invitational. Just tell us a little bit more about your experience.
Well, I've been twice. It's a really cool event because of the prize purse, it kind of features the best of the best. Like, it's almost like a mock CrossFit Games in a sense of like you get some of the top athletes to be there. So, the fact that Tia is competing this year is extremely exciting. And I don't know, it'd be interesting to see if she, like, my money's on her. I bet she comes back and she just dominates like she normally does, but maybe not. But she's so impressive. I just remember watching it. It was really cool to see all the top athletes, and then also like all the old Rogue athletes, having them throw down is pretty fun to watch too. Like the Fronings and Kalipas and Dan Bailey's, like the old school CrossFitters. It's fun to watch that too.
I was about to say, like, it's the Legends, isn't it? That's the Legends Rogue Invitational. I saw that, and that is going to be super exciting.
Nope.
I'm actually a little bit more excited about that than the actual Rogue itself, because these are like you said, the OGs.
Yeah, it's the OGs, but like there's such a wide breadth of like ability. Like you got Froning, who's like not too far off from his peak, and he's pretty darn fit. But then you got like, some of like, does Josh Everett, is he going this year? Like Josh, like
he did last year, and the stark difference.
Like I'm pretty sure I beat Josh Everett in the Open a couple of years in a row, which is, so you have like a very wide, like he's an OG and he's much older than me, and I tons of respect. But it's interesting because that competition is kind of like, oh, it's just for fun, and you have some people who have like games level abilities, and then some people who are not nearly there, but it's cool to watch them throw down. I think it's fun, but I'm more excited for the elites because it's like all right, who are we going to be watching come come the CrossFit Games? It's going to be really, really interesting to see how Tia does coming off having a baby.
For sure.
So Tia, that's a good point. So Tia came out last year and said wasn't sure whether she was retiring or not, and then announced she was retiring to go and start a family. Now post 5 months postpartum, she's saying she's going to come and return for the Rogue Invitational. Obviously, we won't get into it much today, but do we think it's too soon for Tia to be competing so soon after having a baby?
We touched on this briefly before we started recording, and my thoughts are that Tia is an exceptional athlete. I think that she's, as far as just a human being, above and beyond the rest. And I was commenting that her abilities are so far above, and the team that she has and the resources that she has, I think, allow her to have the opportunity to train differently than other new moms may have. And I think that as an athlete, you know your body really well. I believe that she will be making the right decision for herself. And I'm really stoked to watch her compete. If she thinks she's ready, then I think that she'll do an exceptional job. And I'm really stoked to see it.
I mean, because you make such a good point, is I'm sure many people have kind of a different opinion on this, but she does have the top team around her, and she is obviously knowing her body, it just operates at a completely different level than say like the Gen Pop. So if there was any person to be able to compete at a high level and smash it so soon after having a baby, it's Tia.
She's gonna be so motivated. Do you remember when she was I thought still very pregnant, and she was saying that she knew in the midst of her pregnancy that she wanted to compete. And so she already had that fire building before she had her daughter. And now I just think that it's going to be like even more so. And she's going to be, she'll have taken, that time off. And I think she'll be incredibly motivated and inspired, and she'll have all those super mom powers. And I think it'll be great. I'm excited.
Super mom powers is a thing, having watched Annie and both Cara come back, and they just said, hey, we've got stronger since just with that physiological change. And like Tia is already strong as it is. So I wonder how that will kind of change her performance.
Perfect. Speaking of that, Annie's pregnant. She announced it yesterday, right?
Did she?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
It's it was in May, I think. Right? May?
Yeah, May something.
So that's Annie out of the season next year?
Yeah, 100%. For sure. Maybe not next. This year, for sure. I don't think she's going to do that. I mean, she might pull a Tia, but I mean, she delivers in May. I don't know. Theoretically, no.
She'll probably still qualify.
I would.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I'm excited for her. It's whatever she wants to do. I think it's great. She's a great role model, and I think everyone looking to her can make adult decisions on whether that's safe for them or not, or anything like that. And so, I think people that have opinions on what other people do for their lives are, should probably focus more on.
Just need to stay in their own lane. Just need to stay in their own lane.
Probably got way bigger problems than what Tia's doing. And I mean, I think Tia's an athlete. She's a paid athlete, right? Like, we theoretically fund her life, right, by watching and promoting her and following her on Instagram or whatever. But she's an athlete. I want athletes to be athletes. I want them to do crazy, physical, amazing shit all the time. And this is right up there for sure. And it's going to be completely mesmerizing to watch her and Laura battle it out.
Yeah,
So,
I'm really excited to. I just think this event is just the right amount of time after the games that you're like ready to watch again, excited to watch again. Rogue does a really cool job, I think, of coming up with events that are fun to watch, and they have just such a cool setup and amazing coverage that it's always just like a very well run show, and
Mhm.
it's easy to watch and good to watch, and it's like I really look forward to it.
yeah, I agree.
And for people who don't know, it is nine workouts over 4 days. So you've got one event on the Thursday, 2 on the Friday, and then you've got 3 workouts on the Saturday and the Sunday. Okay, just moving on into the workouts then. And you've seen, CJ, you're keen to see Tia and Laura. Is there other sort of, and obviously if we go back to last year, I know a big highlight for me was Danny Spiegel with the log. And just seeing just pure athleticism there. Is there anything in the workouts where we can deep dive into of like what we're excited about?
I think the workouts from like a quick overview. So we don't know.
Okay, I was excited to see the killer cage back in there with a little spin on that old games workout. Do you know the one that I'm talking about?
What's the?
No, what was the killer cage?
Event 3, the circus. 40 cal ski. No, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
40 cal
Yeah,
ski,
yeah.
arm, strongman, dumbbell shoulder to overhead, and killer cage down and back.
Yeah,
Yeah, what was the killer cage?
the obstacle course, right? Or it's like the monkey bars, right?
The monkey bars, and they set
the
it up
monkey
like in the
bars.
tennis stadium before. It was from an old games, and I think it was
Mhm.
bike on one end, cage down and back.
Right.
Elizabeth Akinwale demolished everybody.
Yeah. But I think it's good. I'm looking at the programming, and we don't know 2 workouts. We don't know the heavy Texas heavy, which I assume is the log or something.
It's three workouts we don't know. It's event 1 Texas heavy, and then event 5 the duel, and then the final event the cleanup. Those are all TBA.
Okay. But I feel unless there's like a really heavy vertical press, like handstand push-up workout, I think they're all heavy. They're all big pulling gymnastics, and I think Laura's going to really have a good chance to do it. Right? It's hard. I would never like put my money against Tia. I'm a gambling man, and but I wouldn't bet against Tia. But this is about as close as I would get. I don't think nothing here is like screaming out that maybe the box jump pegboard workout, but which one is
Event 8.
I think they're just going to be. You got to be really strong. It's all really heavy. Like the kettlebell, the fat bell grounds overhead at 53s for the ladies and 70s for. You got to be really strong to do really well in this. It doesn't seem like it's very aerobic in nature. Which I think is going to lean towards Laura.
Because even event 4 is 10 rounds of 4 ring muscle ups, 8 handstand press ups, and 12 power snatch at 95 and 65. That's I wouldn't say that's limiting enough for to stop Laura.
Yeah, I mean, if it's strict, maybe 80 is a pretty high number. But it doesn't say strict. It probably is. That's such a hard word. That's such a hard word.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Shit.
I'm looking at it like I would genuinely want to do that and give that one a go.
So long. That would just be so compounding. It's Nate, right? A variation of Nate, right? But yeah, that's a tough one. Ben would do really well with that workout if his back would hold up.
Oh, on the snatches.
120 power snatches. It's a lot.
I'm also super interested. I just realized that Roman is listed as a competitor.
Yeah, his ankle's good.
What was the official diagnosis? Do you remember? Like what happened?
Tore some ligaments. I don't think he ever broke it. I think he tore a lot of ligaments on the outside of his ankle.
So Jeffrey Alder, Roman, and Patrick Vellner. Man, this is very much a CrossFit Games preview. Especially like on the men's side. almost even more so maybe than the women's side. I don't know. Like
Top
it'll be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. I
CJ.
think the top from both are there, at least.
Can Roman be 100%
Oh yeah.
timeline wise?
Yeah, I mean, if it's just the only thing, is the best thing about our sport is like these kind of injuries are really manageable because you can do a lot of training and not move, right? And if you just kind of like braced your foot, it would be good. If it was a directional sport or a lot of running, then maybe not. But all they have is a hill run so far, right? That's it. There's no other running. So
I think there was a little other. There's one other.
Is there another run?
Well, and we don't know, 3 of them.
Oh, yeah.
But
So Texas Heavy is probably a big lift.
Event 7 has some running.
It'll be minimal. He's definitely ran in 2 months at this point. If he hasn't, then doesn't have running, has a 7? Hill sleds push.
It says run.
Oh, he'll run 8. 8. Got it. Yeah.
The 7 says run and then hill sled push.
Oh, it does.
Yeah,
Sorry.
into a front rack lunge.
Ooh, the hill sled push. That's going to be cool. I hope they push that sled up that hill. That would be dope. In the back of the outfield. That'd be
It's
pretty
probably
neat.
run to the hill. It's probably just run the length of the field.
Yeah, that makes
Who
sense.
knows?
Who knows?
That does make sense.
But yeah, I mean, I think the guys, I don't know, is Justin competing?
I know he's listed on the like VIP Legends thing. I'm trying to. It's hard to see the full list. Maybe it's on the website, but
Here, I'll
I'm
post it
seeing
in the chat.
Jeff
yeah.
Alder, Patrick Vellner, Roman, Brent Fikowski, Noah Olson, Dallin Pepper, Johnny Koski, Chandler will be there. And he made an awesome run at the games. Jay Crouch.
I don't see Justin.
I know he'll be there, but I don't know if he's competing.
Yeah, why is he listed under the legends?
Well, just because
obviously,
he's a Rogue sponsored athlete, and he's already legendary because he won the CrossFit Games, so I guess that counts.
I don't see him under Legends. Maybe that's just like so I just posted the competitors list, and I don't see Justin on that.
Okay.
list.
Yeah, he's listed on the VIP Legends Happy Hour Experience on their Instagram that he'll be there. So he's there, but it doesn't seem like he's competing, which is interesting.
Doesn't that seem strange?
I wonder if he's just trying to heal up.
I think he's trying to heal. If you listen to him and Ellie, they had their like games wrap up video sometime early August, and he alluded to basically training injured from quarterfinals, basically, and that like by the time he got to the games, he wasn't hurting and in pain, but his training to that point had been really limited, which I'm assuming was like probably some form of back or knee thing to where he couldn't lift or pick up heavy things or do a lot of running. And so it sounded like he was kind of recovering from that. And then they were pretty open about having their little honeymoon-ish thing of like lots of travel through August and into September. I think they just started training in the beginning of October.
Ooh, Ricky's coming back too.
I
Man,
saw that.
this is gonna be fun.
That was what I was just about to get to. Let's go.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I wonder how he's doing.
It should be good. He got like 5th at like High Rocks Worlds or like High Rocks Europe or something like that.
Yeah.
And
he probably actually did his wall balls to depth, which High Rocks doesn't understand.
Yeah. Don't you just have to like catch it? It's like
basically you have to catch it and do anything that resembles a sort of squat, and they're like, yeah, you're crushing it. And then if you don't, they bring out a bucket for you to squat to, and they don't care if you squat to it.
Right.
Silly
High Rocks. Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. Let's talk about some girls that might, that's not Laura and Tia, that we think might do pretty well.
I'm waiting for Emma Lawson. She always seems to be fairly close with things. Whether this is her to start shining a little bit more. through? I know she's always consistently up there, but I'd like to kind of see more of her sort of take the reins, so to speak.
Yeah, and I feel like, Danielle Brandon's always solid, but I feel like this Rogue Invitational, and based on the workouts that I'm seeing, it tends to skew very heavy.
Yeah, for
right.
sure.
They want to see who's strong.
Mhm.
So this is not her competition for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the same with Emma. Emma seems to struggle with the really heavy stuff at the games, but she's not strong. I'd say she's stronger on average more than Danielle, but not quite as there. I think Alex Gazan, she's pretty strong. She's pretty gritty. I think she's going to do really well. I think she has a chance to podium. I think you still have to assume that it's going to be something like Laura, Tia, maybe Gabby and Ariel, or something, low and something around.
Christine Kohlenbrander's very strong.
She is very strong.
I would just like to say I beat her in a workout at the tactical games. So just saying, Katie and I beat her and her husband, who is Jared Stevens, who is an ex-Games athlete, and we beat them in a couple workouts, including a run. I beat them in a run. Just saying. I'm impressed with myself.
Are you a runner now? Is this your new identity?
I might as well be.
What happens when you date a runner?
But I seriously am putting that on my resume. The fact that
at the top.
I beat Christine and Jared in a ruck weighted multi-mile run.
Wow.
That sounds horrendous.
But she's strong, and she's also awesome. Like, I met her and got to hang out with her and Jared for a while. They're really cool people.
And how was the festival then?
Oh, you're talking about the running festival. I was talking about the tactical games. That was like a shooting fitness event that I did back in August. But last week I went to the Running Man Festival, which is I think they're trying to make it like a Burning Man. What? Why are you guys laughing? Don't you dare laugh. I ran.
It's so funny.
I ran 13 miles without stopping. Okay. It actually was 13.6 on my watch. Their track was a little
They
long.
overestimated. They're nervous.
So RX plus, but yeah, running is, it still was miserable. I was just,
Hold on. How was this a multi-day Running Man festival?
Yeah. So it's a 3-day festival.
Okay.
They're trying to make it like Burning Man.
Okay.
They're trying to make it like Burning Man. There's like a DJ. No, people weren't really doing that. They're trying to make it that, but it was essentially what it was a bunch of fitness influencers just being fitness influencers and going in and out of saunas and ice baths and taking videos of it. But it was cool. Katie and I hung out, and we
Did you run a beer mile?
We did. We did a beer mile the day before the main race.
Was it like a beer every 400 meters?
Yeah, it's like chug a beer, run 400, chug a beer, run 400, chug a beer, run 400, chug a beer, run 400. So,
what'd you run?
Yeah.
What was your time? That's super important.
I don't know what my time was.
Come on.
Yeah. I don't know what my time was. All I know is I handstand walked the finish when I was the only person to do that. So that counts for something.
Wow.
I also had to pee in the middle of the run, so I took a potty break, and Katie, I think, almost won. So yeah, but it was, it's interesting being around runners. It's definitely, there's a lot of very, 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 very slender people there.
Yes.
But after doing my run, I have gone on a couple runs since then, because I was like, I didn't like being so slow and decrepit. I was like, man, this is really banging me up. Like, I'm not in good running shape. Like, my feet hurt, my ankles hurt, my knees hurt. Like, I'm basically shuffling at this point by the time I got to the end.
Are we talking about the half marathon that you ran on, I'm guessing, no training?
Correct. No training, but the day before, the Buttery Bros were there, and they had a slip and slide competition. So it was a slip and slide competition, and obviously I'm going to try to win any sort of competition. So I did the slip and slide, I think, 5 times, and that was like full, all out, like I sent it, full blown sprint, like basically 50, 60 yard dash as fast as I possibly could. jump on the slip and slide on my belly. And I got second place. Turns out physics are involved. And there was a guy who's like 6'8", 260 pounds, and he won with essentially without even having to run. He just slid down the whole slide.
He just laid down.
Essentially, he just was like, he just slid the whole way. I was like, oh. Anyway, I won the under 185 pound division, and but turns out when you do full blown max effort sprints, you are sore the next day.
So sore.
Very sore. So I actually woke up on the day that I'm running my half marathon, which is the longest I've ever run by about 7 miles. You know, I've run like maybe 7-8 miles before. And I woke up that morning and I like physically couldn't walk. So I'm like, this is a great day to run a half marathon. So it was a bit brutal and I was banged up. But since then I have gone on a couple multi-mile runs and it feels good. And the dogs are enjoying that I'm taking them for runs. So I'm going to start running more because I didn't like being so terrible.
What was your half marathon time?
I think it was like over 2 hours. Like it was pitiful. Like I think my pace was like 10 minutes a mile or something like that. Like it was a shuffle.
Ben,
It's a solid first half marathon.
yeah, just remember who our audience is before they just cancel you of saying what's pitiful and that's their goal. So just like
all I know, hey, my mom texted me and this made me feel great. My mom was like, I've run one half marathon. I was 48 years old. I got 1 hour and 48 minutes. And I was just like, crap. Yeah, Mom, you beat me by like half an hour. Like dang.
That's a pretty fast. That's a
fast half.
I was so impressed. I was like, holy crap, Mom, that's crazy. So
miles the whole way.
Yeah.
1 minute. Yeah, that's cooking.
So I was very impressed with that. But it was on a 1 mile loop in the grass. Oh. So like
why?
So I did 13, laps or whatever. And by the end, you're just it's like NASCAR. You're just turning left the whole time. So my right foot was destroyed. Like I thought I had fractured my right foot. It was that painful. I'm just a little wimp. And then my left knee. I guess that's what happens when you run a lot. Like if something gets sore or hurt, then usually the opposing side will start to get sore. So like my right foot was killing me, and then my left knee, I like couldn't even bend it. And then like the right side of my back was like all tweaky. So I'm just like hobbling. It was rough. It was rough. But I appreciate your support. It will not be my last. I'm going to do a marathon at some point and hopefully be a little bit better running shape.
Wow.
CJ's jaw dropped.
Oh, no.
I got to build that engine, man. That's something like at the gym, coming back to the competitor programming that I've been following at the local CrossFit gym, CrossFit Coda. It's just like I can always hang with the heavy barbell and the gymnastics. Like that's what I'm good at. But it's like if I can build up that engine a little bit more, I'll be a halfway decent exerciser, competitor person.
Yeah.
Well, so good job. You've got a nice engine course on Wad Prep Academy that you could be following.
Yeah, I should probably take Endless Engine maybe at some point.
Solid soundtrack there. That was good. But be on the lookout for Coda Wad Prep.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. I love the competitor programming so much, and I want to have a little bit more synergy within Wad Prep. So it looks like Coach CJ and Kevin, who's the head coach of CrossFit Coda, will be combining brain power, that's a scary proposition because Kevin is an excellent coach, excellent programmer. CJ obviously goes without saying how amazing he is. And they're going to be combining brain power to write the competitor program, which is going to trickle down to the rest of our programs so that the programming that I'm following and posting about on Instagram and, just doing is actually going to be in alignment with Wad Prep products. So it's going to be cool. I'm actually really excited about that because obviously if I was training out of a garage gym or if I was training with just a group of friends or whatever, I'd be doing Wad Prep because the programming is amazing. But for me, like I'm a social exerciser. So for me, it's like the way I get into the gym is by having a gym to go to. So I just have been following their programming. So the fact that we're going to find a way to integrate that and I think people are really, really going to like it. I think it's going to be fun and I'm excited to promote it and actually have some other Wad Prep athletes joining that leaderboard and trying to keep up with Daddy Kevin.
I mean, as well, and your numbers have been going up in like insane amounts, haven't they? Through
Yep, and I obviously it's the programming's good, but in August, like July and August, right before I left for hunting season, I PR'd lifetime PR deadlift. Let's see, deadlift, split jerk, clean, power clean, snatch, like a few other things. Like it's crazy. It was amazing, and I think it all is predicated on obviously the programming is good, but it's just like being around people who push you, right? Like Kevin, every time I go into the gym, Kevin's like, you working out with the big boys today? You know, like, hey, are we going to share a barbell today? And it just having that, you know, like seeing him lift 15 pounds more than me, it's like, oh man, all right, let me take a chance. Let me lift a little bit more. Let me really try to focus on this. So just having that group that you're surrounding yourself with, it always elevates your game. So like the fact that I'm dating a runner now and I went to a running event, now I want to run more. So I actually sent an email about that this morning about who you hang out with or who you train with. That's where your level of fitness is going to be.
I love that. I'm really excited because these coders are basically semifinals games level, aren't they?
Games.
Yeah.
They did well at the games this year. They almost made it to the final day.
And Charleh and Savannah, if you didn't know, we have lots of things to talk about over the next 6 weeks before we roll this out.
Hey, it's okay. This is guys. This is the whisper. You know, you getting if you're listening in, you're getting the inside scoop.
Inside scoop, baby.
But speaking of, obviously of the Wad Prep community, there has been another big announcement that's come out this year. Well, in the last few weeks, I should say. And obviously in our last podcast, we mentioned about the changes that was happening into the CrossFit Games. Those announcements have been clarified a little bit further. And it is indeed that the masters, the teens, the masters, and the teams are now all separate from the actual main open age group at the CrossFit Games. So how do we all feel about that? And let's fill in some of the details on that.
Yeah, so they came out and announced that adaptive and age group, masters and teens will be separated. Teams and individual will still be together at the Dickies Arena on whatever those dates that are announced. And it sounds like the way that Dave explained it, and the grapevine rumor mill, that the masters and teens will be after the games, so later dates in August. But they will be at a different location. They won't be at the Dickies Arena in Dallas. There are some rumors about where some that teams will for sure be at the Pit Throwdown, which will be at wherever, which is in Michigan, right? Indiana,
that sounds right.
Michigan?
Yeah.
Michigan? Yeah, somewhere in the Midwest up there. And Legends will most likely be in California. I can't imagine it being anywhere else. And then Adaptive Wheel Wad is running Adaptive. So wherever Wheel Wad is based out of, I would assume it's going to be somewhere near there. Which I think is like the Northeast somewhere, maybe. I'm not sure. So the main thing that CrossFit tried to lay into was that there will be more opportunity for more people. So the divisions are going to expand back to 20 for all age groups at least. Sounds like they might be pushing it a little bigger for the lower age groups, which would be cool and probably appropriate. Like the male 35 to 39, all 40 of those top 40 are just savages. Same with the females, right? And a lot of them are really close to being semifinal individual games level individual athletes, and that they'll be able to highlight, give a better experience, let that competition grow, and, you know, all the fluff that comes with breaking it apart and making everyone really, really sad. So yeah, I think all changes, it will come with resistance and nervousness and, you know, being uncomfortable with it. But, you know, every time the game's format has changed, we've all thought the same thing. You know, Masters 35 is new, right? They didn't happen when it started and no one complained then. You know, Masters 65 is new. No one, you know, like, so things are always added and are always changed. And it kind of seems like that's just going to be the framework of what we always have to work with, which is unfortunate. But the goal is to grow the sport, and then the goal is also to grow affiliates, right? And people doing the open. And so those are like the main aspects of it. So with those things at the forefront, I can't imagine that the changes are going to be that drastic to where the open is completely diminished, because that is CrossFit's, is it their biggest moneymaker? More than affiliates? It's got to be close. So yeah. So I mean, I think it's gonna be fine. I'm a CrossFit optimist. I think a lot of people out there are very hesitant about it and concerned that the masters and the teens and the adaptive aren't going to get the highlight that they would have if they're at the games. But they go on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and the crowd is still really light. A lot of those same people will go. Not as many for sure. You know, if you read the message boards, people are like, oh, I go and I see both of them and I really love to see the Masters. You say that because you're there, but you'll still go to the games or you'll still go to the Masters. And if they weren't there, it wouldn't matter. And when they did it at the exact same time, right, the 2019, when it was completely integrated, there was no one watching the Masters. Like not even the people that were there to watch the Masters.
Right.
It was wild how little people were there, like, because no one wanted to miss, I don't know, what was that? The clean ladder, right? Like there was an event, there was a Masters event going on like when that started. And so no one's going to miss that. So I think it's going to be fine. I think we're going to adapt to it. Yeah, I'll stop my opinions. I can ramble on this for an hour.
I want to say that I think this format is the format that I feel like they're going to stick with for a long time, because you've kind of seen the writing on the wall. Like, I mean, I don't mean this to take away from any of the other divisions, but like the Masters, Adaptive, and teens have always, it's been a sideshow at the CrossFit Games, right? I mean, like they've tried to give people their, you know, their spotlight, their limelight. They've tried to promote it, but they've always changed it around. The bottom line is like people aren't coming to the CrossFit Games to watch those specifically unless they know someone competing, obviously. So I think this is it's a good move for CrossFit as a business, because now they can literally be like, all right, we don't have to worry about the ridiculous amount of volunteers that were needed to help run these tons of different divisions. We don't need to like have, you know, all these health, you know, all the medical team, like basically like they've created their operations, or they've narrowed down their operations. So now it's like we get to focus on two things, and that's the elites and the teams, and we can put all our focus into those. I'm guessing that the televised, you know, side of things will be better. Everything's going to be more efficient. They don't have to have this like kind of annoying background where it's like, oh yeah, we need like this whole division to like figure out how to run this competition while all of our top people are focused on the main event. Now they can focus on the main event. I think we're probably going to see a shift where a lot of these, like, just like CJ was saying, like those younger Masters divisions that have just like savages, I think a lot of those guys are going to try to make it back to individual.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I see like Sam Dancer and a few of the other like top 35 to 39 athletes. They're going to be like, all right, I'm not doing Masters anymore. I'm going to try to go individuals. I think we are going to see a shift in the younger divisions back to that. The bottom line, like there's not going to be nearly as many people at the Masters and the teens and the adaptive like championships. It's just, that's what it is. Like people can say that, oh, you know, I was there to support everyone. It's like, all right, your money doesn't lie though. Like,
yeah,
they're going to go to the CrossFit Games and they're probably not going to make a trip to wherever the other events are. But that being said, at least now when they give the reins to another organization, like I heard that the teens championship was outstanding. Like I heard it was like run really well. Like at least now that organization can like take ownership and say like, we are crowning the fittest teen on earth, and we can do it with the CrossFit name, and they're going to be able to like really make it their own. So hopefully all these different organizations can really do a good job and have a true Masters championship that's amazing, well run, and that all the focus is on the Masters, not part of the focus. So overall, I think it's a very smart business move. I think it's going to be good for the sport in the long run. I do think it's going to reduce the kinds of athletes maybe that are competing in the Masters divisions, at least the younger divisions. But yeah, so those are my thoughts.
I mean, it's kind of nice that we're talking about both the games and Rogue Invitational at the same time, because the Rogue is like a prime example of how well an event can run that's not run by CrossFit, and how many people go and watch it. And they're even highlighting the different divisions like the Legends, because really, if you allow the platform for people to go and see all of it, you never know that, like I said, in the long run, it could build up the side shows to be bigger.
Yeah, for sure. I think Rogue, they put on a really good show, but they're also only managing like 40 total people, right? That's a huge difference, right? So, with the Legends, I think it's 50 athletes, and there's 20 individuals on each side, 10 Legends on each side, and so totally different than what I think at the games last year, which is probably your average year. You had 80 individuals, 160 team athletes. So that's 240 plus 140 masters, right? So we're looking at 400 athletes to manage. And so I think it's very challenging. I think the other thing to note, this all really does lean back on their CrossFit's goal is to create a system that is movable,
replicable.
Yeah, anywhere, right? So like the hard points with Madison was just massive venue, right? Multiple floors, and so they want to. You just listen to Dave and his last 2 weekend reviews. One of their goals of this is to put it to a 1-floor competition, relatively like 95% of it, meaning there's probably like a run or a triathlon or something, or a swim. Put it to a one.
More similar to like a semifinals.
Yes, exactly.
Format.
But hopefully it is, a little bit more enticing. I don't know how I feel about sitting in the same seat all day. Granted, I never went and watched North Park. I would just leave anyway. So, because you can't find a seat, it was too small. It was so packed, you couldn't see anything. So I would just go watch it somewhere else. So I feel like if they can get the experience, like the vendor village really good, and a lot of like, I don't know, just like bars that are there, right? Or like drinking stations and a lot of visible things there, then I think they can make it really good. Because the Dickies Arena I thought was way bigger. It's not that much bigger. It's only, with the extra seating, it's 14,000. So we're only talking 4,000 extra tickets in total, or 3,000, because the Coliseum said 11, just under 11. So it's movable. That's the goal. I think they're trying to be like a 2-year, 3-year tops kind of thing, and so they don't have to restructure a whole style based on the location of it.
It's interesting that the stadium isn't that much bigger. Like, I feel like they're going to sell out. Like, it's going to sell out, and it's going to be like 100% sold. I mean, the games already was 100% sell out, but I think this year it's going to probably sell out even more because it's an easier travel destination. It's like everything about it's easier. So like, I maybe don't even see them being able to stay there that long. They're probably going to have to bump it up to a bigger stadium at some point soon. But
well, if the goal is to move to different countries, the benefit of your stadiums in the US is your stadiums are like, everything's bigger here. So they might be thinking, well, what's kind of equivalent stadium sizes that they can get around the world?
Basketball arenas are where it's at. We're nowhere near a football stadium. You could put 30,000 people in, which would be 3 times the amount that we've ever had, and it would still look like there's 7 people in this stadium. So, because they said 100,000. So Dave referenced that too. So basketball arenas are the next, for sure, like thing. Or destination. Professional basketball arenas that sit in the 20 to 30,000 person range. And I know isn't there like soccer pitches over there that have that kind of seating, like some of the smaller clubs.
Yeah, but it's like the smaller rundown clubs. Like the nice stadiums, or this.
Like Wembley's 120,000 people.
Yeah, but Wembley's big. Like Wembley's.
but that's like, but there's basketball arenas there, especially in Germany, right? And so that's at least that's what makes the most sense, or even like old Olympic areas.
Yeah, there's enough of the Commonwealth stadiums as well around the world where it's like every facility. That's why my money's on Germany next. They have all the infrastructure because they have so much more American sports just there. They're, like I said, set up for the basketball, lacrosse, softball. They've got those stadiums and they're super nice. Like
where was it said that the plan was to take it international?
Dave said that one of the big reasons why they're going to a single floor is to be able to move it and get international sooner than later, is what he said.
Interesting. That's going to be really interesting. I wonder when that move would take place, and that's fascinating. Because obviously the move there is they're trying to make it just like the reason the NFL has been doing a ton of games in Europe.
Yeah.
And they started with just one or two, and now it's like every week, and now they're really bumping it up. Is because they're just trying to get that international crowd to be like, oh, what's this? Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So that's probably just a big push to help get more people into affiliates.
Yep.
Hey, are you guys proud of me? I'm going to watch my very first Christmas Eve NFL game.
Oh,
heck yeah!
In New York, like I'm booking my tickets this week.
Giants and who? I would assume.
I don't know. I was just like, woo, I'm going to a game.
That'll be fun.
So great.
That's also how I go to games.
I hear this
sports.
I hear this.
Yes, sports. Go sports.
There's little food and I get to yell and wave. So I was like, okay.
That'll be really fun.
I'm in where I live is a very kind of bubble from pretty far from NFL teams, are really all professional sports. We have New Orleans, but no one wants to drive New Orleans and Atlanta, which is 4.5 hours away. So I'm very far from professional sports, and it makes me sad. It makes me very sad. All pro sport games are amazing. All of them.
So then just going back to the open season, Ben, I know you alluded to this. I'd be like, because they've not announced anything yet, but what do we think that will look like? Will it look exactly the same, or will there be some big changes?
Yeah.
I mean, I expect it to be the same, but CJ would know better than me. I'm still expecting it to be the same qualification process as we've seen.
I think there's no way CrossFit helps manage the teen and the masters in the adaptive divisions without getting the money from the open and quarterfinals and semifinals. It has to be the same because Don, our CEO, Don Fall, his goal is to get, 30 million people to do CrossFit, right? Something insane like that. And so if we want to move the open number, then you can't change that structure, right? You have to convince and you have to make sure that everyone feels that the process and the system is still good. It still promotes community. It still promotes this worldwide fitness fun. And then that leads into these competitions. And so I think it has to stay the same. Now, is it going to be successful? I have no idea. I think there are quite a few people that are already extremely sour to it, that feel that CrossFit is going to, I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyways, next topic. That I think it's going to be the same. We'll leave it there. I think it's going to be the exact same. I don't know how successful it's going to be this year. But just like 2019, when it all changed, it plummeted after 18, which was the biggest year ever. And it's been slowly growing since. And so
was this past year a growth year?
I think it ended up being like right at the same number. I don't know if, it was within a couple thousand, so it could have been less. But since 19, it was like COVID between the two opens. I don't know. I think it all ended up slowly growing, and then I think it's kind of stalling out now. But they have to know that consistency is the only way it's going to grow, right? And to stop changing it.
Yeah. So in 2022, there was 294,000, and in 2023. There was 322,000, so it did technically grow registration-wise.
And what was 2018 to compare with 2023?
Yeah, let me check that. 2018 was over 400, or okay, so 429,000.
So 100,000 difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does seem really
A lot of
low
people.
compared to like the total community.
Yeah.
And 2019 was 357. So it's 2018, 2019 were the peak, and then we're trying to fight back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then COVID. Yeah, it came down a little bit because of the huge restructure, and then COVID plummeted everything. But if you think about it, right? So there's 10,000 gyms roughly. Every gym, we'll just say there's 100 members on average, which is probably way high. There's probably less than that. That's what is that? 10,000, a million, right? So we're looking still at 40%, 35% of the people that do CrossFit do the open. I mean, I think that number is generally pretty solid, but I could be wrong. 35% open.
They're reporting, CrossFit HQ says over 5 million athletes.
That's what I thought it was.
Oh.
That's percentage
I don't understand how that would make sense. With 10,000 gyms. Maybe.
Anyway, so then when we get to August time then, is that then when we're looking for the biggest changes? So we could potentially be looking like a whole month of elite CrossFit competitions.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It's for sure going to be at different times, and a birdie told me that it's going to be 1 week, starting with the games, and then roll into So
I probably wanted to do the other way around.
Mind blowing. I thought it would be too, but no.
Like build up to it.
Yeah.
No. It's gonna start with the games, which I think stinks for the masters and teens. It's like, all right, you're not professional athletes. Now we're gonna extend your season by a month. Blah. So, oh well.
So from Wad Prep perspective, so we're not going to work for a whole month. Is that the plan, Ben?
Excuse me?
It's going to work for August. It's going to be a great third quarter.
Yeah, Q3 is always a really big quarter for us.
That's funny. Yeah, I think it's going to be. I'm excited to see what it is. I trust Dave. Dave has CrossFit and the growth of it at the forefront always, even if he's changing everything all the time. His goal is to grow it. Don's goal is to grow it. And so, is there a market equity firm behind it? Is money becoming more of a forefront? For sure. But they grew the NFL and they grow soccer teams. And guess what? People own money. They own part of that and they want to make more money. And so people love it. So I think it's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I think you just wait and see, right? Like, I think for me, like, take the information in, speculate a little bit, but don't get too overly emotionally invested, and then wait and see how it shakes out and how it looks, right? Because it could be better than you think. You never know.
For sure.
This is a bit of a segue, but has anybody been watching the Beckham documentary on Netflix at the moment?
No, I heard it's awesome.
No.
Yeah, I highly, highly recommend it. So the first episode, this is not spoiling anything. Obviously, I'm from a Mancunian, so I'm from Manchester. So it's far closer to my heart than most people because it's basically Man United for the first episode. But I never even quite understood the gravity of David Beckham going over to the US with LA Galaxy and how that has actually massively transformed the landscape on. You guys now have a generation of soccer players because they were brought up with more soccer in their lives. And I know there's a lot of soccer in the Wad Prep community as well, around that conversation. But then I think this is also why NFL is definitely coming over to the UK and Europe more, because they're replicating how you just get some of these big hitters to just go over to certain teams, and it brings that more level of awareness. And you never know, CrossFit could see that's what's happening, and follow in its footsteps.
Yeah, it's an interesting point.
Hey, I'm rooting for it.
Yeah. For sure.
All
Cool.
right. On that note, I think we've pretty much covered everything about the Rogue Invitational, everything about the new setup with the CrossFit Games and the new season. It is, as I say, it is now October. It is not that long if we think about it, because November's going to disappear. December's definitely going to disappear with the Christmas holidays, and it will be already into the open prep. So everybody watch out for this whole bunch of new stuff that we are going to be launching and promoting and helping you with the best top tips on how you can have the best season ever. We'll always continue to do that. And then until another episode, we'll see you guys soon.
Peace.
Bye.